My own granddaughter called me a squatter. In my house. The one I paid off with 27 years of my life. She said it with her little glossy lips wrapped around a Starbucks straw, standing in my kitchen like she owned the place. Her mother, my daughter, just nodded like it was true. Like I was some old stray they were being generous to. Then came the worst part. Mom, it's time for you to move out. We need space. For the kids. No discussion. No asking. Just telling. They already had a moving company scheduled. Already boxed up my photo albums, labeled storage. My wedding dishes? Tagged for Goodwill. And when I said, you can't just kick me out, my daughter, my own flesh and blood, just laughed. Oh, but I can. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at the worn spot on the kitchen table. The one where my husband used to rest his coffee cup every morning. And that's when I made the decision. They wanted space? Fine. I gave it to them. All 1,700 square feet of it. I never asked for much. A quiet morning. My crossword. A warm cup of Folgers with just a splash of cream. The hum of the dryer going in the next room. That was enough for me. I worked for 40 years as a school secretary. Never called out once. I raised 2 kids, buried 1 husband, and paid off a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs with sweat and coupons. So when my daughter, Leslie, asked if her family could stay for a while after her husband lost his job, I said yes without thinking. That's what family does, right? Just a few months. That's what she promised. That was 2 years ago. At first, it was okay. I liked hearing the grandkids' footsteps upstairs. Liked packing their school lunches. Liked having someone around the house again. But then, things shifted. Leslie started redecorating. This wallpaper's depressing, Mom, she said, peeling it off while I was at my weekly Walmart run. Let's brighten it up in here. She meant let's paint it gray, like one of those house-flipping shows she watched on her phone. They took down my lace curtains, tossed my old recliner in the garage for space, and my wedding photo? Replaced by some generic quote on canvas. Family is everything, it said. Funny. That's what I used to believe, too. It wasn't one big moment. It was 1,000 tiny ones. Like when they stopped inviting me to dinner, even though I was in the next room. Or when I offered to help with the kids' science projects and Leslie said, "It's okay, Mom. You wouldn't really get it." Or when I'd go to sit on the couch and find it covered in toys, laundry, or one of the teenagers sprawled out with their phone, not even looking up. One night, I made chicken and dumplings from scratch. The old way. The way Leslie used to love. She came home late, poked at the pot, and said, "Do we have anything normal to eat?" I just stood there, holding the ladle like a fool. Normal? Like DoorDash or something. I swear, it felt like my heart hit the kitchen tile before the spoon did. One Sunday, I tried to talk to her. I waited until the kids were out and her husband was napping. I sat her down at the table. My table. The one with the coffee ring from Dad's mug. I feel like I don't belong here anymore. She looked up from her phone. Mom, don't be dramatic. I'm serious, Leslie. You're always serious. That's the problem. Then she stood up. Just like that. Conversation over. The next week, my mail stopped coming to the house. I asked about it. Leslie shrugged. Oh, we updated the address to ours. Figured it was simpler. Simpler? For who? She didn't answer. Instead, her husband mumbled from the living room, "We're the ones paying the bills now." That was the first time I laughed in months. Not because it was funny, because it was bold. They weren't paying for anything. The mortgage was done. The house was mine. In my name. Taxes, too. All handled by the retirement account I built from clipping coupons and skipping vacations. They were freeloading. But somehow, I had become the inconvenience. The worst part? Thanksgiving. I'd made a whole plan: turkey, stuffing, green bean casserole. Even made my mother's cranberry mold, the one with orange zest. I pulled out the nice dishes, wiped down the table, put on a sweater with little autumn leaves on it. They went to Leslie's in-laws. "Didn't want to make you cook, Mom," she texted. "Enjoy the quiet." I ate alone. And when I sat down, I looked at the spot across from me. The empty chair where my husband used to sit. where we'd pass rolls back and forth and chuckle about Leslie's teenage mood swings. That chair stayed empty all night. 1 week later, the kicker came. Leslie cornered me in the kitchen. "We've been talking," she said, arms folded. "It's time for you to consider other living arrangements." I blinked. Living arrangements? Yeah, like assisted living or maybe something smaller. You don't need a big house like this. It's not safe, either. Stairs and all. I just stared at her. "You mean my house?" She gave me this little smile. That fake one she used to give teachers when she hadn't done her homework. "We'd be willing to take over the upkeep. If you sign it over, we'll make sure you're taken care of." My hands started shaking. "Leslie, are you serious?" "Come on, Mom. Don't make this hard. We're trying to help." I couldn't speak. Not right away. I just looked past her. At that worn spot on the table. Dad's coffee ring. She didn't even wait for my answer. By the next day, I saw a folder on the counter. Legal papers. Transfer of ownership. I didn't sign them. But they acted like I had. They started making plans. Talking loud enough for me to hear. "We can turn this room into a home office. The garage will be perfect for a home gym." They even brought over paint samples. That's when I knew. This wasn't my home anymore. Not in their eyes. And they weren't going to wait around for permission. I started staying in my room more. Not because I wanted to, but because every time I walked into a room, someone sighed. Or got up and left. Or said something like, "Oh, didn't know you were still here." It was easier to just stay out of the way. I'd eat toast at 5 a.m. before anyone else was up. Watch the news on mute. Fold laundry that wasn't mine just so I'd feel useful. But no matter how small I made myself, it wasn't enough. One afternoon, I came out to find my knitting basket dumped on the porch. Not even in a neat pile, just yarn everywhere, needles bent. I picked it up in silence. Later that night, I asked Leslie about it. "Oh, the kids needed the space in the closet." That old stuff was taking up room. My chest went tight. It was my closet. In my room. Technically, it's Mia's room now. You're in the guest room. I just stared at her. That was my bedroom for 30 years. I picked the wallpaper. I hung the ceiling fan. I brought my babies home to that room. Mom, don't start. Start what? This whole drama thing. That word again. Drama. That's what it's called now when an old woman wants a little respect in her own home. The kids changed too. Mia, the oldest, used to bake cookies with me. Used to ask about my high school dances and my first car. Now she scrolls past me like I'm a ghost. I offered to help with her prom dress. She rolled her eyes. "You'd just make it ugly." Then there was Cody. Left his bike in the driveway again. I tripped over it coming back from the mailbox. Skinned my elbow pretty bad. When I told him, he just laughed. "Should have watched where you were going, Grandma." Leslie didn't say a word. Didn't even look up from her laptop. The final straw wasn't big. It never is. It was cereal. I was standing at the pantry one morning. Reached for my Special K. The one thing I always kept stocked. It's silly, but it made me feel like me. My little morning routine. Box was gone. I asked Leslie about it. "Oh, we tossed that. It was expired." It wasn't. "Well, it's full of carbs anyway. Not good for your age." That was it. No apology. No offer to replace it. Just judgment. Like I was a child. And that's when it hit me. They didn't see me as a mother. Or a grandmother. Or even a woman. Just a nuisance. Something to manage. I went to the basement to cool off. Sat on the old recliner they'd shoved down there. The one that didn't fit the aesthetic. I sat in the dark. No lights. Just the hum of the dryer and the sound of footsteps above my head. I remembered when those same footsteps were tiny and fast and full of joy. When Leslie used to run down the hallway in her bunny slippers and jump into my bed on Saturday mornings. Now she walked around like she was the queen of something. 2 days later, I heard them talking. They thought I was asleep. They were in the kitchen, my kitchen, whispering, but not whispering enough. She's not going to leave on her own. We'll just tell her the house needs work. That it's unsafe. We should have pushed her harder when the market was hot. My heart stopped. Then Leslie said, "Look, if she won't leave, maybe we can talk to a lawyer. See what our options are." I mean, she's getting confused. That whole cereal thing? She asked about it 3 times. That's not normal. I gripped the stair railing to keep from falling. Confused? No, I wasn't confused. I was just done pretending not to notice. The next morning, I called my old friend Darlene. She's sharp as a tack and never liked Leslie. Darlene, I said, do you still have that real estate contact? She was quiet for a second. Then she said, you thinking about selling? Maybe. Another pause. Good. We set a time to meet. I didn't tell anyone. Let them think I was off playing bingo or staring at clouds or whatever they assumed I did all day. Meanwhile, I got the deed. Found the paperwork. Had everything in my name, just like I remembered. Still mine. Every square foot. I didn't list the house right away. I wanted to wait. Watch. Give them enough rope. And they did. Oh, they really did. The next week, Mia threw a party. While Leslie was at work. I was upstairs, trying to nap, when the music started shaking the windows. Teenagers all over the place. Weed in the garage. Beer cans in the sink. Someone sprayed whipped cream on the living room wall. I walked downstairs in my slippers and housecoat and said, this is not okay. A boy I didn't recognize said, who invited the witch? Mia laughed. Laughed. I turned to her. This is my home. She popped her gum. Not for long. I stood there frozen. I felt like I'd been slapped. Not by a hand. By everything. The years. The sacrifices. The loss of my husband. The slow erasing of my whole life. And in that moment, I made the decision. No more waiting. No more hoping. No more begging for space in a house I built from nothing. 2 days later, I signed the listing agreement. The realtor nearly dropped her pen when I told her the situation. You live there. I do. With them. I do. She leaned in. You sure you want to do this? I smiled. I'm very sure. You'd be amazed how fast people forget what you've done for them when they decide you're no longer useful. And Leslie? She forgot fast. The week after Mia's party, I noticed my key to the mailbox was missing. Just gone from the hook where I'd left it for years. I asked Leslie if she'd seen it. She looked me dead in the eye and said, we had the locks changed. Why? Her husband, Eric, the man who still can't boil water, chimed in from the couch. For security. We get a lot of packages. I just stared at him. I still live here. Leslie folded her arms. It's not a big deal, Mom. We'll bring in your mail. She said it like she was doing me a favor. Like I was 98 and halfway to hospice. I nodded, walked back to my room, shut the door, and screamed into my pillow. Because it was a big deal. The mailbox key. The deed. My name on the title. My name on the tax bill. My name. And they were treating me like a squatter in my own home. 2 days later, my bathroom was gone. Not literally, but it might as well have been. I went to take a shower. Turned the knob. Nothing. The water had been shut off to the upstairs. I walked downstairs in my robe, hair wet, towel in hand. Something's wrong with the plumbing. Leslie didn't even look up from her laptop. Oh, we decided it was too expensive to keep both water lines open. You can use the hall bathroom from now on. The one the kids use? It's fine, Mom. Don't be difficult. It's my house. Then act like it. Silence. I stared at her, waiting, hoping she'd realize what she just said. She didn't. She just went right back to typing. I called Darlene that night, told her to go ahead with the sale. She whistled. You sure you don't want to scare Em a little first? No, I said. I want it done. They're gonna lose their minds. I'm counting on it. She laughed. You're a cold one, Maggie. No, I said, staring at the ceiling. I'm tired. I should have seen it coming, what happened next. But I didn't. They were smarter than I gave them credit for. I came home from my doctor's appointment, and there was a social worker in the living room, sitting on my couch. Mrs. Walker, she said, standing up. I'm here to talk about your current living situation. I looked at Leslie. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I turned back to the woman. Excuse me, your daughter mentioned some confusion, repetitive questions, disorientation. It's possible early signs of cognitive decline. I almost laughed. I really did. But my hands were shaking. Are you telling me my daughter said I have dementia? The woman hesitated. We're just doing a preliminary wellness check. They were trying to paint me as unfit, trying to create a paper trail, trying to get power of attorney or, God forbid, stick me in a nursing home. And Leslie just stood there, silent, stone-faced, like I was already gone. I turned to her. You called the state on me. Her arms were crossed. We're just worried, Mom. No, you're greedy. Maggie, the social worker, said gently. Let's stay calm. I shook my head. I'm done being calm. I walked out without another word, got in my car, drove straight to Darlene's. We finalized the paperwork that night. Darlene brought the buyer in, a nice retired couple from Arizona, looking to be near their grandkids. Paid in cash. And just like that, the house wasn't mine anymore. And it sure as hell wasn't Leslie's either. I slept better than I had in years. But I didn't tell them yet. No, I wanted them to feel it. To keep treating me like a burden. To keep tightening the noose. So I smiled. I waited. And they got bolder. Leslie brought home brochures. Senior apartments. One of them was 600 square feet and smelled like lemon cleaner and regret. This one's close to a park, she said, tapping the page. You like birds, right? I stared at her. You want me out that bad? It's not about that. What is it about? You're not happy here. You mean you're not happy with me here? She didn't deny it. Didn't say a word. Just handed me the brochure and walked out. That night, I took the family photo off the wall. The one with all of us at the Grand Canyon. Back when we still laughed. Back when Leslie still held my hand on hikes and told me I was her hero. I took it off the wall and set it face down in a drawer. Then I made a plan. The buyers would be back Friday. I'd told them to come around 10 a.m. I didn't tell Leslie a thing, but I did pack a bag. Just one. The rest? Let her figure it out. Friday morning, I made coffee like normal. Sat at the kitchen table. Watched her run around like a peacock in yoga pants, shouting at the kids to find their backpacks. Then the doorbell rang. Leslie yelled, Mom, can you get that? I did. And there they were. The new owners. Smiling. Holding a folder. Ready to take possession. I opened the door wide. Come on in. They didn't even flinch when the new owners walked through the front door. Leslie glanced up from pouring oat milk into her smoothie. Thought they were Jehovah's Witnesses or maybe someone selling solar panels. Sorry, she said, not even looking. We're not interested. I stood beside the buyers, holding the paperwork folder in my hands. They're not selling anything, I said. They already bought it. Leslie frowned. What? They bought the house. She blinked. Whose house? This one, I said, cool as ice. My house. The one I just sold. She laughed. A full laugh. Loud, sharp. Like I'd told her a knock-knock joke. Right, okay. Seriously, who are these people? The couple stepped forward. We're the Donovans. The Walkers said you'd be out today. That was when the smile cracked. Leslie turned to me, her voice low, dangerous. Tell me this is a joke. I handed her the folder. Legal documents. Deed transfer. Sale finalized. All signed, sealed, and notarized. She flipped through the pages, her hands shaking. This can't be real. It's very real. But you can't, it was mine, Leslie. I can do whatever I damn well please. She stared at me, then back at the papers. Eric came into the room, rubbing his eyes like a hungover frat boy. What's going on? Leslie turned to him wide-eyed. She sold the house. Eric squinted. Who? My mother. The kids came downstairs next. Groggy, still in pajamas, dragging backpacks and phones. What's happening? Mia asked. Nobody answered. Leslie dropped the folder on the table like it burned her fingers. You can't just kick us out. I took a sip of coffee. Didn't say you had to leave. But the Donovans here, they've got a moving truck on the way. I'd start packing if I were you. Cody laughed, like this was all some prank show. You're crazy, Grandma. No, I said. I'm done. That was last Friday. And I wish I could say that was the end of it. But it wasn't. Because Saturday morning, I came downstairs to get a banana and found my suitcase by the front door. Not packed. Just dumped. Like trash. And on top, a note. Since you love surprises, here's one. You're not welcome here anymore. No signature. No explanation. Just ink on paper. Cold and final. I stood there, holding it in my hand, barely breathing. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It wasn't about the cereal or the water being shut off or the mail key. It was the fact that I had raised a woman who could throw me out with the same care she'd give a moldy bag of lettuce. And the kids, they stood behind her. Said nothing. Watched me pack my coat and walk out the door. Like I was a stranger. I stayed with Darlene that weekend. Didn't say much. Didn't eat much either. I just sat on her back porch, staring at the clouds like they owed me something. Darlene tried to talk. You're better off. Doesn't feel like it. She's not who you think she is. I looked at her. She was. I held her when she had ear infections. I braided her hair every morning before school. I stayed up all night sewing her Halloween costumes. You did, she said. And she forgot. I nodded. And then I said the words I'd been chewing on since the day Leslie tried to put me in a senior home. Enough. Darlene raised an eyebrow. I'm not just kicking them out, I said. I'm going to bury them in it. Sunday morning, I got to work. Started gathering everything Leslie didn't know I still had. The receipts. The emails. The texts. She'd been using my identity for months. Ordering packages under my name. Redirecting mail. Even used my social security number to open a new credit card. Said it was for emergencies. Well, honey, guess what? This is an emergency. I took it all to a lawyer. An actual lawyer. Not the cheap online kind they probably Googled at 2 a.m. And he was furious. They've committed multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, financial abuse of an elder. Is it worth pursuing? I asked. He looked at me like I'd just asked if water was wet. Oh, it's criminal, Maggie. Here's the best part. The Donovans? They agreed to let me stay. Said I could rent the guest house in the back for practically nothing. That's where I am now. Watching from the window as Leslie and her little family stumble around trying to figure out how to downsize their big dreams into a 900-square-foot rental on the bad side of town. The Donovans gave them a 2-week move-out grace period. And it's not going well. Mia's throwing a fit about losing her walk-in closet. Eric's complaining about the lawn equipment he never used. And Leslie? She's been silent. Won't look me in the eye. Can't decide if it's shame or strategy. But I know that look. She's planning something. Probably hoping to sue. Probably thinks she's still got an angle. She doesn't. Because while she was trying to bury me in legal tricks and guilt trips, I was laying bricks. Paper trails. Witnesses. And now, criminal charges pending. And let me tell you, I'm just getting started. They didn't leave quietly. 2 weeks turned into 3. Then 4. Every day they stayed, they got meaner. The kids stopped speaking to me entirely. Not even a glance. Leslie? She'd parade through the front yard like she still owned it, pretending not to see me sitting on the porch of the guest house with my book and my iced tea. I didn't speak either. Just watched. Like a hawk. Like I used to watch her when she was 5 and tried to lie about sneaking cookies. She never was very good at hiding things. The pressure started small. An envelope slipped into my mailbox. No stamp. No return address. Just a typed note. This is your fault. You ruined your family. You'll die alone. I folded it, threw it in the trash, and brewed another cup of coffee. But it didn't stop. 3 days later, I got a text. Blocked number. Hope you're enjoying your little cottage. Hope it's worth it. Then came the phone calls. Leslie using a calm, fake nice voice like she was reading from a script. Mom, we don't want to fight. Let's be civil. Just sign the reversal paperwork and we can all move on. No one has to get hurt. I let her speak. Didn't say a word. Eventually, she ran out of steam. Then her voice dropped. You know they're watching you now, right? You think your hands are clean? You think no one's going to ask questions about you? I hung up. Didn't sleep that night. A week later, she showed up at the church. I was helping with the bake sale. Had just set out my lemon bars, won first place at the county fair back in '92. Leslie came right up to the folding table in full makeup, holding a clipboard. Loud enough for half the congregation to hear. Hi, Mom. Remember we still need that signature. I didn't look up. She leaned in, smiling like a pageant contestant. We could handle this quietly, you know. If not, I do have some photos from your night at Darlene's. Not a good look for a woman your age. I blinked. You're threatening me. In front of God and lemon bars. She kept smiling. We both know you can't keep this up. You're not well, Mom. You're old. You forget things. No, I said, locking eyes with her. But I do forgive things. And that's my mistake. She flinched at that, walked away without another word, left her clipboard behind. The public embarrassment hit harder than I thought it would. But it was Walmart that broke me. Always Walmart. I was in the parking lot, loading up paper towels, when I heard someone yelling, "Hey, there she is." I turned. It was Mia, phone in hand, laughing, recording. She's famous now. Say hi to TikTok, Grandma. I stood still. She kept going. This is the woman who sold her own family's house out from under them. Cold-blooded, right? A couple bystanders looked over. One whispered something. Mia spun the camera around, back to her face. She even kicked the kids out. Elder abuse in reverse. Think we should call CPS. I should have said something. Anything. But I just stood there, holding onto my cart like it was the last thing tying me to the planet. When I got home, I stayed in bed for 2 days. Didn't cry. Just stared at the ceiling, letting the anger bake slow and low. And then came the bomb. A notice from the county. Unpaid property taxes. $3,400. Due immediately or the property could be flagged for lien. I sat at the kitchen table with the letter, rereading it over and over. It didn't make sense. The taxes had been paid through escrow. I checked my records. The payment stopped 3 months ago, right when the sale went through. I called the lawyer. He pulled the account. "Oh," he said. "Looks like someone called and asked to update the payment method. Said it was you. But it wasn't your voice. I have the recording. Leslie. Had to be. Trying to tank the sale. Trying to get the county to reclaim the property so she could claim fraud. It was a smart move. Cruel. Desperate. Illegal. But smart. That night, I walked over to the main house. Didn't knock. Just let myself in with the spare key from under the flower pot. The one they forgot I put there when I was still the one paying the plumber and fixing the air conditioner. Leslie was in the living room. She looked up, startled. I held out the county notice. "This your idea?" She didn't answer. Just looked at me like she was deciding how far to go. "You know," she said slowly, "a lot of people think what you did is elder abuse. Maybe we should let a court decide." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Elder abuse? I'm the elder genius." She shrugged. "Not if the papers say otherwise. People believe paperwork." And there it was. Her next move. Rewrite history. Play the victim. Use red tape and signatures to turn the truth upside down. She thought I was outnumbered. Outgunned. But what she didn't know is this. I'd already made copies. Of everything. Emails. Texts. Call logs. Recorded conversations. Hell, I even saved the lemon bar receipt. Because when you spend your whole life being overlooked, you learn to document everything. I stepped back toward the door. "You should start packing," I said. "Or what?" I didn't answer. Just turned and walked out. But I'll tell you this much. She will answer for it. Not just legally. Not just publicly. But personally. Because now I'm not just taking back what's mine. I'm taking everything she built on the lie that I wouldn't fight back. And I'll start where it hurts the most. With her reputation. It started with the garden hose. One morning, I stepped outside to water my flowers, petunias, begonias, a few tired tomato plants, and the spigot was gone. Not turned off. Removed. Ripped right out of the siding like it never existed. I stared at the bare pipe stub like it had personally insulted me. Walked to the back to check the other one. Gone too. No hose. No water. Nothing. I went inside and turned the faucet. Dry. They'd cut the guest house plumbing. I knocked on the main house door. Hard. Eric answered, shirtless, holding a can of soda at 10 a.m. "Plumbing's busted," I said. Again. He didn't move. "Maybe you should call your landlord." Then he grinned and shut the door. That night, I washed my face with bottled water like a stranded hiker. The Donovans were out of town for the weekend. I couldn't get a hold of them. Figures. But the message was clear. They wanted me gone. Now. So they started tightening the screws. I woke up to find the guest house thermostat locked. Literally locked. Plastic box screwed into the wall. No key. Set to 61 degrees. It was late March, still cold. My hands turned pink just folding laundry. I tried calling Leslie. Went to voicemail. I left a message. You touch that thermostat again. I'll file charges. No response. But I did get another letter. This one slipped under my door. Typed again. No one wants you here. Take the hint. No signature. No envelope. Just cold paper and colder words. I nearly lost it right there. But something stopped me. I stood in the middle of that freezing little guest house and finally stopped asking why. Why they turned on me. Why Leslie acted like I was the enemy. Why the kids treated me like clutter. And I realized something. It wasn't about me being a burden. It wasn't about the house. It was about control. They liked having it. And they hated that I took it back. Leslie never wanted to care for me. She wanted to inherit me. But I wasn't dying on schedule. And now, I'd become a problem to solve. I called Darlene. Need a ride, I said. Walmart or war? Both. She picked me up in 20 minutes. We went straight to the hardware section. I bought a wrench, a lockpick kit, and a camera. The kind you can hide in a plant. Darlene raised an eyebrow. You planning a heist? No, I said. I'm planning a funeral. That same night, I checked my credit report. And there it was. A brand new loan in my name. $9,800. Approved 2 days earlier. Attached to a fake business account called Walker Family Ventures LLC. My address. My SSN. My forged signature. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Then I looked at the date. March 14th. That was the day I was at the DMV renewing my license. I still had the receipt in my wallet. Alibi. I printed everything. Taped it to the wall like a crime board. The house. The loan. The utility sabotage. The false wellness checks. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was a coordinated attack. That's when I got the text. From Mia. Grandma, I didn't know about the loan. I swear. But Mom says you're taking it too far. You need to stop. I stared at the message. So she did know. Even if she wasn't part of it, she was still warning me to back down. Still trying to pull me back into the fog of guilt and confusion. Still calling me grandma like the word had any warmth left in it. I didn't reply. Instead, I went into my closet. Pulled out the old cookie tin I kept on the top shelf. Inside was every letter my husband ever wrote me. He was a man of few words, but they were always the right ones. And right there on a yellowing page, it hit me again. Don't let people turn you into a ghost while you're still breathing. I closed the tin. And I got to work. I called the lawyer first. Told him about the forged loan. He cursed under his breath and said, "That's not just identity theft. That's federal." Then I went to the sheriff's office. Not the big city one. The small one out in the next county, where they still take time to listen and don't roll their eyes at grandmothers who bring in paper folders instead of screenshots. Deputy Collins was maybe 26. Looked like he still lived off energy drinks and microwave burritos. But he listened. He took notes. Made copies. Then he looked up at me. "You have any reason to believe your daughter's doing this?" "Yes," I said. "And I can prove it." I showed him the voice messages, the emails, the date-stamped photos of the thermostat lock. He nodded. "We'll open a file." I stood. "Make it a big one." The next morning, I found something else. A draft document on my Google account. I don't even know how to use Google Docs, but there it was. A full letterhead document titled, "Petition for Guardianship, Margaret Walker." It claimed I was mentally unfit. It listed signs of confusion, paranoia, and even cited delusional property sale decisions. At the bottom, a digital signature. Mine. They were trying to take me away from myself. To erase my rights. My voice. My name. I took a screenshot. Sent it to my lawyer. Then I called the Donovans. Told them everything. They were furious. "We're calling our attorney," Mr. Donovan said. This is elder fraud, plain and simple. We'll evict them ourselves if we have to. I thanked him, hung up. Then I walked to the main house. One more time. Leslie opened the door like she'd been expecting me. Come to apologize? No, I said. Came to warn you. Mom, this is pathetic. You're digging your own grave here. You already started digging, sweetheart. But you're standing in the wrong hole. She smiled. Cold. Mocking. Go ahead. Try something. You're just a bitter old woman with no one on her side. I didn't blink. I don't need a side. I have truth. Then I turned and walked back to the guest house. I locked the door. I sat down. And I waited. Because now it was all in motion. And the next knock on her door wasn't going to be me. I stopped crying the day I saw my name forged on that guardianship petition. That was the last tear they got from me. After that, it wasn't sadness. It was fire. And I was done pretending not to burn. The first thing I did was open the file cabinet. The real one. Not the little plastic bin Leslie once tried to clean out for space. Inside was everything she thought I'd thrown away. Birth certificates, social security cards, copies of wills, the original deed to the house, plus a folder marked Contingency, Walker Family. Yes, I had a folder. Because when you spend your whole life in a world that forgets older women matter, you learn to plan for the moment someone tries to erase you. Guess what? That moment had come. Step 1. Document everything. I set up a camera in the guest house. Another one pointed at the driveway. One more hidden in the birdhouse by the front door. Cost me less than $200. Worth every penny. Within a week, I had footage of Eric removing the spigot with a wrench, Leslie opening my mailbox, Mia digging through my porch trash bin. Why the trash? Probably for more personal info. Or maybe just habit. She learned from the best. I didn't stop them. I recorded them. Step 2. Find their weak spots. Leslie's was image. She wanted to be a community figure now, after years of doing absolutely nothing but yoga and couponing badly. She'd started a parenting vlog. Modern home. Modern mom. It had a following. Local sponsorships. A meal kit deal. And a whole fake persona. I read every post. It was all lies. Photos of rented kitchens. Staged outfits. Her calling herself a caretaker to a multi-generational household. No mention of me, of course. I took screenshots. Lots of them. Because nothing falls faster than a fake identity. Eric's weak spot? Money. He'd opened 2 credit cards under Leslie's name. Missed payments on both. I got the statements. And guess who is listed as secondary cardholder on one of them? Cody, a 16-year-old. On a card used to buy supplements, video games, and, wait for it, VIP tickets to a crypto seminar. You can't make this up. Step 3. Secure allies. I met with Deputy Collins again. Told him about the fake guardianship petition. He brought in a state investigator. Then I went to the county clerk's office. Asked to see all property transfer forms involving the house. Guess what I found? A draft title transfer dated before the house was even sold. Signed with my name and handwriting that looked suspiciously like Leslie's, but shaky. Like she tried to fake an old lady's signature. The clerk raised an eyebrow. You want to press charges now? Not yet, I said. She smiled. Cold. Patient, I corrected. Midweek, I got a call from the Donovans. They'd returned from their trip and were not pleased. Eric had hosted a poker night in the living room. Cigars. Booze. A hole in the drywall the size of a microwave. The Donovans offered to file an eviction notice. I asked them to hold off. Just a little longer. They agreed, but warned me, we're not holding the leash forever. I understood, but the leash wasn't on me. It was on them. Then came the first mistake. A letter. From a debt collection agency. Not addressed to me. Addressed to Leslie. Care of Margaret Walker, my address. My name. My life. She had been rerouting all her debt notices to my guest house. I brought the envelope straight to my lawyer. This is how she's going to argue residency, he said. She's making it look like she lives here. So when the sheriff comes, she can claim this is her legal address. He topped the envelope. This is enough to trigger an investigation. I nodded. Good. I went to church that Sunday. sat in my regular pew, smiled at the ladies in their pastel blouses and giant purses, sang the hymns, passed the plate, and right before communion, I handed Pastor Dale an envelope. Inside were copies of the forged document screenshots from the parenting blog, a list of the charity funds Leslie had claimed to donate to, but never did he read it. Face turned pale. I whispered, "You asked why I wasn't at last month's bake sale." "That's why." He nodded. She'd been angling for a leadership role in the church. Not anymore. Monday morning, Leslie came stomping up to the guest house. Waved her phone in my face. "What the hell did you do?" I just looked at her. "Excuse me." I got dropped from my brand deal. The company said they got an anonymous tip with inconsistencies in my public persona. "Sounds serious." Her voice cracked. "You think this is funny?" "No," I said. "I think it's consequences." Later that day, Eric's car got repossessed. Right out of the driveway. Cody filmed it for Snapchat. "Mood," he said, dead-eyed. Leslie screamed at the driver, but he had the paperwork. He even apologized to me. "Sorry, ma'am. Hope this didn't wake you." "Not at all," I smiled. I've been up for this moment since January. I ended that night with a cup of tea and the kitchen window open. The air smelled like jasmine and burned bridges. And then my phone buzzed. It was Deputy Collins. He'd spoken to the state investigator. They were opening a formal inquiry into elder fraud, into financial abuse, into identity theft. And the cherry on top? They'd also contacted the IRS. Because Leslie had never once reported the modern home income on her taxes. Oops. The house was no longer just a battleground. It was a crime scene. I looked at my list. The one I'd started with Darlene back when this all began. There was only one item left unchecked, make her feel it. The morning it all began, I ironed my blouse. Not because anyone would see me, but because it mattered to me. That's the difference between me and Leslie. I still have standards. At 9:03 a.m., I slipped a small manila envelope into the outgoing mail bin at the post office. Inside, a USB drive with all the camera footage, a notarized affidavit, copies of the forged documents, a full statement of events, signed and dated. It was addressed to the county prosecutor's office. Priority mail. Tracked. Insured. No going back. At 9:45, I scheduled a post on the Nextdoor app. Nothing dramatic. Just a warning, post to neighbors. Be cautious about letting family move in without a lease agreement. Some people will do anything to claim your home as their own. Protect yourself. Ask me how I know. Attached, a blurry still image of Eric unscrewing my hose line. No names. Just enough to get the gossip started. By noon, it had 34 comments. "Oh no. Is this about the Walkers?" Someone said they were getting evicted, again. The nerve. What happened to respect? At 11:12, the church group email went out. Subject line, update on Leslie Walker's leadership application. Pastor Dale's message was, surgical. Due to newly surfaced information regarding financial misrepresentation and personal conduct, the committee has withdrawn consideration for any future leadership roles. Please direct questions to church staff, not the Walkers themselves. Cue the hymn playlist and a very large fall from grace. By lunchtime, my phone buzzed. A new text. "Leslie, what did you do?" I didn't answer. Instead, I placed a call to the Donovans. "Is it time?" Mr. Donovan asked. "Yes," I said. "Serve the notice." At 3:06 p.m., Leslie opened the door to find a man in khakis and a blazer holding a clipboard. "Ma'am, this is your official 3-day eviction notice due to property damage and lease violations." She stood there barefoot, holding a bag of frozen peas. "You're joking." "No, ma'am. You have 72 hours to vacate or will proceed with court-ordered removal." She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. That night, the real fun began. I sat on the porch of the guest house with a blanket and my laptop. Watched them storm around the house, lights flickering on and off. Leslie shouting. Eric pacing. Mia crying. They weren't pecking. They were panicking. That's different. Because panic doesn't make you act fast. It makes you act stupid. At 10:17 p.m., Cody tried to borrow my Wi-Fi. I got the alert. New device attempting to join network. PS5. Denied. Nice try, buddy. The next morning, I set the trap. I called Leslie from a burner phone. Darlene loaned it to me. Said it was from her ex-husband and already cursed, which felt perfect. She answered with venom. Who is this? Someone who wants to help you. Pause. What do you mean? I know your mom's got files. Proof. Emails. Documents. Hidden somewhere. Silence. Then, where? Guest house. Closet. Red box. Back corner. Click. I waited. Watched from the porch. At 11:42, Leslie crept over barefoot, wearing a hoodie-like that somehow made her invisible. She let herself in using the back window. Real subtle. Inside, she tore the closet apart. I let her, because I had put something in there. Not documents. A motion-triggered camera. Front row seat to her breaking and entering. Smile for the legal system, sweetheart. At 12:15, I called my lawyer. Check your inbox, I said. I'm checking. Oh, wow. You see it. I see everything. Now it was time for the cherry on top. At 2:30 p.m., I stopped by the county recorder's office. Handed over an envelope with proof that Leslie attempted to file an illegal title transfer before the sale. The clerk looked at me over his glasses. Want us to press charges? Not yet. I leaned in. Let her try one more thing. He smiled. That's cold. That's earned. Back home, I found Mia on the front steps, crying, phone in hand. Grandma, they froze my bank account. Why? She sniffed. Mom used my name for something. Some online thing. IRS flagged it. I didn't say I told you so. I just handed her a tissue and walked away because she made her choices. And I was done cleaning up their messes. That night, I saw the family photo again. The one they'd stuffed into a Goodwill box months ago. Someone had tossed it in the trash. Glass cracked. Frame chipped. I pulled it out. Wiped it off. Put it on my windowsill. Not because I forgave them, but because I wanted to remember who I used to be. And how far they'd pushed me to stop being her. Then came the knock. 8:02 p.m. I opened the door. And there he was. Deputy Cullens. Hat in hand. Serious face. You might want to sit down, Mrs. Walker. My heart kicked. What is it? He handed me a manila envelope. The state's pressing charges. I opened it. Inside, for separate charges filed against Leslie and Eric. Forgery. Identity theft. Elder exploitation. Fraud. And a court date. It was official. This wasn't just family drama anymore. It was criminal. And I wasn't just a mother anymore. I was the plaintiff. I always said revenge is like baking a pie. You don't pull it out early just because the crust looks golden. You wait until the middle is bubbling. And honey, we were just about to boil over. Monday morning, I met my lawyer at the county courthouse. We sat in a back room with coffee and highlighters and an assistant who typed like her keyboard owed her money. Everything was ready. The forged credit applications, the fake guardianship papers, bank statements under my name video footage of Leslie breaking into the guest house audio from her voicemails, all bundled up in one lovely legal package. All filed under State versus Leslie Walker and Eric G. Walker. Felony charges. Federal level. No civil wiggle room. No way to talk it out over lunch. Just a hard court date with handcuffs on the table. I thought that would be enough. But evil's never done early. Because that same day, something went wrong. Badly wrong. At 2:17 p.m., I got a call from the Donovans. Hey, Maggie, Mr. Donovan said, voice tight. We got a letter from the bank. What kind of letter? The mortgage. I paused. You bought the house cash. Exactly. He sent me a photo. It was a refinance approval notice. In their names. Using their property. They were stunned. I was frozen. Leslie had tried to refinance the house out from under the Donovans. Used their address. Spoofed their email. Claimed it was a family error and said the deed never properly updated. The bank had approved it. Temporarily. Because guess what? The title office hadn't yet processed the final verification. They do it in batches. Twice a month. I had 6 hours before they sent the confirmation. If that form went through, Ownership could fall into legal limbo. My entire case, everything, would get stuck in procedural quicksand. I got in my car and drove like the devil himself was tailgating me. 30 minutes to the title office. No air conditioning. Hair pinned up. Face set. I parked half in a bush. Ran inside with a folder under one arm and adrenaline under the other. Receptionist looked up. "Do you have an appointment?" "Nope," I said. "I have a problem." She tried to stall. I kept walking. Right into the back office. Found the clerk from before. Old man. Blue tie. Smelled like printer ink and buttermints. He looked up, startled. "Mrs. Walker?" I slapped the folder down. "You're about to verify a fraudulent refinance on parcel number 008734. He blinked. "The Donovans?" "Yes. That refinance is based on forged ownership claims by the previous occupants. You push that button, you're buying Leslie Walker a new car." He opened the file. Scrolled. Paused. "Oh, hell. Exactly." He looked at me. Then at the clock. 5 minutes to batch send. I leaned in. Then delete it. He did. Right in front of me. I watched that record go from queued to dust. I exhaled so hard I nearly passed out. He chuckled. "You always this prepared?" "No," I said. "Only when my family commits federal crimes before lunch." That night, I celebrated with canned peach cobbler and the good blanket. Outside, the lights were still on in the main house. But it was quiet now. No shouting. No stomping. Just that thick silence you hear before a tornado rips off the roof. Then came the second-to-last piece. Deputy Collins called. They're officially served. Charges are processed. Court date is locked. He paused. "There's just one problem." Of course there was. Leslie's filed a petition to delay the eviction. "On what grounds?" He hesitated. "She's saying she's your caretaker. That you're retaliating because she tried to put you in assisted living." I laughed so hard I snorted. "She tried to put me in prison." He didn't laugh. "She's filing a claim that you're unstable. She's got old photos of pill bottles on the counter. Says you can't manage your health. Claims emotional delusion." I sat still. It would delay everything. Not stop it, but slow it. And if she slowed it long enough, maybe she'd flip public sympathy. Play the elderly abuse in reverse card again. I closed my eyes. Took a breath. Then I said, "Pull the hospital records." "I'm sorry. I had gallbladder surgery 6 months ago. My discharge report says mentally competent and self-managing post-op medication. From the State Medical Center. That's a certified cognitive eval." I heard him smile. "Say less." 3 hours later, I got the text. "Petition denied." They tried. And they failed. Again. Tuesday morning, Mia came to the guest house. No hoodie. No sneer. Just quiet eyes and a phone in her hand. "I need help." "With what?" She looked down. "College applications." "I have no one to proofread." I stared at her. Waited. She swallowed. "I'm sorry. For what we did." I nodded once. Didn't hug her. Didn't cry. Just handed her a pen. "Fix the spelling on line 3. You spelled entrepreneur like you've never met one." She smiled. And just for a second, she looked like a kid again. At noon, the eviction enforcement was finalized. Sheriff would be on site Thursday. No delays. No negotiations. Just boxes, trucks, and tears. I sat on the porch that night. Watched the sun dip low over my petunias. Drank iced tea. Felt peace for the first time in months. And then, my phone lit up. Unknown number. Text only. "You think it's over? You've got no idea what's coming next." Thursday. Eviction day. The kind of day that starts quiet, too quiet, and ends in a firestorm. I was up early. Made scrambled eggs and toast like it was any other morning. Watered the petunias. Wore my good earrings. Not because I needed to. Because I wanted to look my best when everything came crashing down around them. At exactly 9 a.m., the sheriff's car pulled up. 2 uniformed deputies stepped out. Big ones. The kind that don't ask twice. Mr. and Mrs. Donovan followed in their sedan. Calm. Smiling. Holding a clipboard and a copy of the lease. I watched it all from the porch of the guest house with a cup of hot coffee and the kind of satisfaction no therapy could ever give me. The knock came first. Boom, boom, boom. Sheriff's Department. A pause. Walker family, this is a final eviction enforcement. You have 30 minutes to vacate the property. Silence. Then chaos. Leslie flew out the door, barefoot again, hair wild, face pale. You can't do this. Deputy Collins stepped forward. We already did. This is my house. He handed her a paper. This is a judge's order. It says otherwise. She scanned it, face twisting. You think this is justice? My mother's a psychotic old woman. She lied. She tricked you. No, Collins said. She warned you. Eric stumbled out next, shirtless again. Wait. We need time. We got kids in here. We gave you 5 weeks, Mr. Donovan said, stepping up. You used it to throw parties and break drywall. You're heartless. We're landlords. You're trespassers. Eric tried to laugh it off. Come on, we can fix this. You can't even fix a toilet, I muttered from the porch. He heard that, turned toward me. You think you're winning, Maggie? You think this makes you the good guy? No, I said. It makes me the one with keys. Then came the real twist. Just as the movers started loading boxes into the rental truck they'd clearly just scrambled to get, Mia came down the front steps, holding a file folder. She walked right up to the sheriff. Sir, she said, voice trembling, I need to give you this. Leslie whipped around. Mia, what are you doing? Mia didn't answer. The sheriff opened the folder. Inside? Screenshots, emails, voicemails, the whole case file. The one I never gave to law enforcement. The one I left in the guest house just in case. She'd found it, read it, copied it, and now she was flitting. The whole time, I'd wondered which way she'd land. Turns out, toward justice. She lied about everything, Mia said, pointing at her mother. Grandma never forgot anything. We just stopped listening. Leslie lunged. Give me that. The deputies stepped between them. Ma'am. Back up. No, she's my daughter. She's a witness, he said. And just like that, so much for the family defense. Inside the house, the movers worked fast, ripping tape, boxing junk, carrying out piles of overpriced throw pillows and 3 air fryers they never used. I watched as they loaded. Mia's vanity table, Eric's golf clubs, never used, Leslie's vision board. Torn down the middle, everything went into that U-Haul like a bad memory. At one point, Leslie tried to grab a lamp from the living room. No, Mr. Donovan said. That's ours. She froze. What? We bought it with the house. It's listed in the purchase agreement. She stared at him. It's a lamp. Then you won't miss it. Just when I thought it was all over, the second sheriff's car pulled up. I stood. Deputy Collins met my eyes and gave a little nod. It was time. Leslie was still pacing the lawn, barefoot and furious, when the new deputy approached her with a different folder. This one had her name on it. Leslie Walker, he said. She looked up. What now? You've been served. Formal charges filed by the state attorney's office. She blinked. Wait. No. What charges? He handed her the paperwork. Forgery. Fraud. Identity theft. Elder exploitation. Eric started backing away like it was contagious. Mia sat on the curb, staring at the sky like it held answers. And me? I stayed quiet. Didn't gloat. Didn't shout. Just whispered, told you. But then a twist. A real one. As they loaded the last box, Deputy Collins walked over to me. Ma'am, he said. Small issue. What now? He leaned in. Eric just filed a temporary restraining order against you. Claims harassment. Says he felt unsafe on the property. I blinked. He felt unsafe around me? It's nonsense, Collins said. Won't hold in court. But it could delay the civil trial. I clenched my jaw. Let them delay it. Just means they'll have more time to explain themselves. He smiled. That's what I figured you'd say. As the truck pulled away, loaded with their mess and regrets, Leslie looked out the window. Not angry. Not bitter. Just empty. She finally understood. This wasn't a fight she lost. It was a war she never saw coming. And I was just warming up. The eviction was only phase one. Now came the unraveling. Not just of their lies, but their lives. The next morning, the U-Haul sat in a sketchy extended stay motel parking lot. I know because Mia posted a crying selfie on Snapchat with the caption, "From 3,000 square feet to bedbugs and a vending machine dinner, loudly crying face, heartbreaking." Almost. Leslie tried to keep up appearances. Told Facebook it was just a temporary transition. Claimed they were downsizing for lifestyle freedom. But that freedom didn't include air conditioning or working Wi-Fi. Eric's poker buddies dropped him like spoiled milk. Mia's influencer group chat kicked her out. And Leslie's brand deal? Officially dead. I know because I contacted their PR team myself. Told them they might want to Google their ambassador's court case. They thanked me. Very professional. Very satisfying. Meanwhile, my lawyer filed the civil suit. Damages for identity theft, property fraud, emotional distress, and unpaid debts made under my name. The total? $146,000. Leslie found out the next day. She called me. Of course, I didn't answer, but I did save the voicemail. "Mom, please, you're ruining us. You made your point. What do you even want? You want me to beg? Fine. I'm begging. Is that what you want?" I played it twice, then deleted it. At the same time, the Donovans had their own surprise. They ordered a forensic audit of the damage to the house. Turns out, Eric had borrowed some copper piping from the crawl space to sell. Also ripped out some wiring in the garage for a generator project. Guess what? That's a felony. They filed their own report. So now the Walkers weren't just evicted. They were under investigation. Again. The panic really set in by the weekend. I could smell it. Like burnt toast and desperation. On Saturday morning, Leslie showed up at the church bake sale. Wearing sunglasses, dragging Mia behind her like a dog on a leash. "I just want to clear the air," she said loudly, smiling at people who refused to look at her. "I know there've been rumors," she continued. "But families go through rough patches. I love my mom. We're healing." Pastor Dale just raised an eyebrow and kept slicing his banana bread. Then Mia said she's lying and walked straight back to the car. Midweek, I got a letter from the school district. Apparently, Leslie had listed my address as her legal residence when enrolling Cody, which is fraud. I brought the envelope straight to my lawyer. He read it, then looked up at me and said, "She's going to try and claim you're the one lying. That she's been living there all along." I smiled. She hasn't. And I have footage to prove it. That night, I watched the security camera footage again. There she was, breaking into the guest house. There was Eric, removing the hose. Mia, dumpster diving for personal mail. And the best part? A 3-minute video of them celebrating the original title transfer scam. Toasting with boxed wine in the kitchen like they'd won the lottery. Eric even said, "Once she signs it over, it's our house. She'll never even know." I sent it to the prosecutor. Subject line, "More receipts." Then, out of nowhere, a court summons. For me. They were suing for emotional distress and defamation. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my tea. They were trying to flip the narrative again. Say I was the abuser. Say I humiliated them without cause. Say I orchestrated a personal and professional smear campaign. Which, yes, I did. Because it was true. I called my lawyer. He said, "This is a trap. They're hoping to tie up the case and delay sentencing." Classic diversion play. What do? We flip it. Next day, I filed a counterclaim. Not just for damages, but for perjury. Because in their original guardianship petition, they claimed I was mentally unfit to manage day-to-day responsibilities. But I had. My DMV renewal, my clean medical records, my voter registration update, my notarized home sale contract, all signed within that same month. All legally recognized. That's not confusion. That's clarity. And their lie? That's perjury. The family was crumbling. Leslie stopped showing her face in public. Eric started looking for a spiritual reset on Reddit. Mia deleted all her socials. And Cody? Suspended from school. He got caught using one of the stolen credit card numbers to buy $300 in 4-night skins. Some lessons are expensive. Some are court-ordered. Then came the call I didn't expect. Darlene. Said I needed to get downtown. Now, what's going on? Don't ask. Just come. I met her at the courthouse. She was standing there with that crooked little smile that only shows up when she's about to blow something up. She handed me a packet. Someone sent this to my work address by mistake, she said. I opened it. Inside, a lease agreement, a bank transfer slip, and a signed affidavit, all with my forged signature. Leslie was trying to lease the house again, Darlene said. To someone else. Under your name. I blinked. She just doesn't stop. Nope, she said. But now we've got everything. And that's when I knew this wasn't just revenge anymore. It was justice. The kind you have to build brick by brick. Because the family that tried to erase me was about to be remembered. In court. In records. In headlines. I wasn't just going to win. I was going to leave a trail. You'd think eviction, charges, and public disgrace would be enough. But people like Leslie don't break all at once. They crack in layers. They bargain. They blame. They play the victim. So I had to strike where she lived, not just in a house, but in her image. In the story, she told the world about who she was. And who I was. The final blow came on a Monday. Hot. Sticky. One of those late spring days that smells like old asphalt and cheap perfume. I walked into the courthouse wearing a pale blue blouse. The same one I wore to Leslie's wedding. Back when I thought she still had a soul. It was the hearing for the state charges. Forgery. Fraud. Elder exploitation. We were in a small room, no cameras, no crowd. Just me, Leslie, Eric, their lawyer, my lawyer, and the judge. Leslie had aged 10 years since the eviction. Hair flat. Makeup cracked. Eyes puffy. She still wore pearls. Still pretending she was someone who mattered. The judge opened the session. Asked if we wanted to make statements before evidence was reviewed. Their lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my clients were misled. They acted under confusion and emotional strain. They believed Mrs. Walker had willingly transferred the home and financial responsibilities. Any inconsistencies were unintentional. I didn't say a word. Didn't need to. The judge nodded. Looked at me. Mrs. Walker? I stood. Steady. Calm. Opened a folder. My daughter said I was confused. I held up one page. This is a receipt from the DMV dated the same week she filed for guardianship. I passed a written vision test and a renewal form. No notes of impairment. Another paper. This is my voter registration. Changed to reflect the guest house address after they tried to claim I didn't live there. I turned the last page. This is a psychiatric evaluation. The judge raised an eyebrow. I let the silence settle. I paid for it myself. Scheduled it myself. Results: no cognitive decline. No signs of paranoia. Fully mentally competent. Then I looked at Leslie. Right in the eye. You wanted me invisible. Instead, I'm documented. The courtroom stayed still. Even Eric didn't breathe. Then my lawyer handed the clerk a USB drive. Your Honor, this is a recorded conversation between the defendants, taken from security footage. It contains open discussion of the forged documents, financial manipulation, and the plan to claim full property rights. The judge watched the first 30 seconds. That was all it took. He paused the screen. Eric's face mid-toast, saying, once she signs it over, it's ours. She won't even notice. The judge sighed. Thank you, Mrs. Walker. I sat down. Hands folded. Leslie was shaking. But she still didn't speak. Not yet. That night, I got a call from Channel 7 News. They'd been following the court docket. Asked if I'd be willing to give a statement. Not yet, I said. But soon. Then I emailed them a copy of the guardianship petition. Redacted the address. Left everything else. Headline ran the next morning. Daughter tries to erase mother. Ends up facing prison time instead. Public comments? Brutal. People recognized her from her old blog. Said things like, this lady gave me a meal kit code last year. Burn it all. This is why older folks don't trust anyone anymore. She really tried to parent trap her own mother. Disgusting. Leslie deleted every social media account by noon. But I wasn't done. Because there was one last thing she never saw coming. And it was already in motion. 3 days after the hearing, Leslie and Eric walked into a new rental property on the edge of town. Small, run down, just enough space for regrets. The landlord? My cousin's son, a quiet kid with 2 degrees and a poker face. He'd heard everything. He gave them a lease, month to month. No warnings, no specials, just enough rope. And once they settled in, they found the surprise. In the middle of the kitchen wall, a framed eviction notice. Their eviction notice. Dated, stamped, laminated, hung like a family portrait. There was a note taped under it, handwritten, for memory's sake. And the next day, Leslie called. She was sobbing. I have nothing left. I stayed quiet. Then she whispered, You were supposed to love me anyway. I let that hang in the air. Then I said, low and steady, I did. Click. The civil case began the next week. They were trying to settle, offered to pay a portion, asked for a gag order. My lawyer asked me what I wanted. Everything, I said. And their dignity? I looked out the window, saw the empty chair at my table. The one Leslie never earned again. No, I said. That's already gone. That night, Mia texted me. Just 4 words, can I come home? The strange thing about revenge is how quiet the world feels after it lands. No fireworks. No big finale music. Just silence. And dust settling on the wreckage. By the time the civil suit was officially in motion, the walkers were unraveling like cheap ribbon. I didn't have to lift another finger. They did the rest to themselves. Eric moved out first. No goodbye. No warning. Just gone. Left a note on the fridge that said, I'm not going down for your mess. And a half-eaten pizza. Classy. Leslie was spotted 2 days later, yelling in the Walmart parking lot. Someone posted a video. She was on the phone, pacing in flip-flops, screaming at a customer service rep, Dio, you know who I am? No one cared. The comments were brutal. She used to have a parenting blog? Yikes. Modern mom, more like meltdown mom. Mia moved into the guest house. She showed up with 1 duffel bag, red eyes, and a $10 Starbucks gift card. She handed it to me without a word. I'll pay rent. I just nodded. We didn't talk about what happened. She took the back bedroom and started cleaning like she owed the walls an apology. The court ordered Leslie to pay restitution, $85,000 in damages, plus interest, and a mandatory public apology. She tried to appeal. The judge denied it in 4 minutes. Then came the interviews. The local paper did a piece titled, Matriarch Fights Back, The Quiet Strength of Margaret Walker. They wanted a photo. I wore pearls. Not to impress, to remind. Meanwhile, Leslie went bankrupt. Officially. Filed Chapter 13 with the same lawyer who once said I was unstable. I sent him a sympathy card. Blank. The final blow wasn't legal. It wasn't financial. It was Thanksgiving. That year, I cooked for 5. Darlene, Pastor Dale, 2 church volunteers, and Mia. Leslie wasn't invited, but she showed up anyway. Knocked once, holding a pie from the discount bakery. Mia answered the door. They stood there in silence. Then Leslie said, I'm still your mom. Mia didn't move. Not today. Then shut the door. Later that night, I found the pie on the porch. Untouched. Half frozen. I didn't bring it in. Let the raccoons have it. At least someone would enjoy it. Cody never came back. He's with Eric now. In another state, last I heard. Started a YouTube channel. Family is a scam. Catchy. The most surprising part? Leslie started sending me letters. Handwritten. Each one starts the same. I know you don't owe me anything. She never finishes the sentence the same way. Sometimes she apologizes. Sometimes she blames the stress. Sometimes she asks if we can go back. Back to what? I don't know. But I read every one. Then file them away in a drawer marked lessons. The house is quiet now. Peaceful. Mia goes to night school. I take care of the garden. The guest house has been fixed up. The thermostat works. The plumbing holds. And the lock? Only I have the key. One day, a letter arrived with no return address. Inside was a photocopy of an old photo. Leslie, age 6, covered in frosting at her birthday party. I remember that day. She'd cried when someone else got the bigger balloon. I should have known then. But we never want to believe the worst about the people we raise. We just hope they raise themselves eventually. Then came a knock at the door. Not Mia. Not the neighbors. A man in a suit, holding a clipboard. Mrs. Walker? Yes. He handed me a card. From a documentary crew. They were producing a series. Families that tried to steal everything. They wanted me to be episode 1. I smiled. Let me think about it. Behind me, on the kitchen table, a fresh envelope sat unopened. Another letter from Leslie. This one thicker. Maybe it's a threat. Maybe it's a confession. Maybe it's a goodbye. I reach for it. Pause. Then slide it under the family photo. The one I never threw away. Not for sentiment, but for evidence. And just as I turn back toward the door, my phone rings. Unknown number. Again. It's strange, the things that survive a war. Not the money. That always goes. Not the people. They drift. Blame. Vanish. What stays is smaller. Quieter. Like the worn spot on the kitchen table. The one where my husband used to rest his coffee cup. It's still there. Same ring. Same faint outline in the wood. After everything burned down around me, that stayed. And in the end, it was the only thing that ever meant anything. Leslie used to sit on the edge of that table as a little girl. Feet swinging. Cheeks sticky with jam. She'd press her thumb into that ring and ask, "Why is there a circle here?" "Because that's where Daddy sat," I'd say. She'd nod like it was holy. For a while, it was. Then she forgot. Tried to paint over it. Tried to cover it with centerpieces and chaos. But some marks won't vanish. Even when you stop seeing them. Mia sees it now. Sometimes I catch her looking at that spot like it's a map she lost years ago. She'll ask questions about her granddad. About before the house was broken. About who we were. And I tell her the truth. Not the version that makes us feel better. The version that hurts. Because that's how you heal. With honesty. And scars. Not with silence. Leslie hasn't written in months. Maybe she ran out of things to say. Maybe the words dried up when no one listened anymore. Or maybe she's still drafting the perfect apology. Like everything else, too little, too late. I don't need her letters. I don't need her at all. The house is quiet now. Steady. Every cupboard closes. Every faucet runs. No voices shouting in rooms they didn't earn. Just peace. And sometimes in the early morning, before the sun hits the floor, I sit at that table. Cup in hand. Thumb resting in that ring. And I remember who I am. Not someone's mother. Not someone's property. Not someone's victim. Just someone. Still here. Still sharp. Still holding the deed. People ask if I regret anything. I tell them no. Then I lie awake sometimes, staring at the ceiling. Wondering how far back the rot really went. If it started when Leslie asked for help. Or when I said yes. But here's what I know, she called me a squatter in my own home. Now, she's renting a 1-bedroom over a liquor store. And me? I'm exactly where I started. In my kitchen. In my chair. Next to the mark time couldn't erase. And if you want the truth, that ring, that coffee stain, it's not just a memory anymore. It's a warning. To anyone who thinks I can be pushed out again. 1 cup. 1 circle. 1 woman who won't be moved. Next time, I'd say, bring a crowbar.